Georgia State survives, and let's preview the Sun Belt West in Week 1. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz back with another edition of Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, lots to talk about today. We do have a Georgia State win. We'll preview the Sun Belt West and South Alabama with a helmet reveal. It's not my thing, but boy, it got people around college football on social media all worked up. It was tremendous. All right, so let's do Georgia State. And, the one thing we were looking for was, would Darren Grainger step up and take his game to the next level? It was a resounding yes. Darren Grainger was outstanding. I think he started out 10 for 10, finished at 16 for 20, 193 yards, and a couple of touchdowns in Georgia State's 42-35 hanging on and win and move on, if you will, victory over Rhode Island. Georgia State is very, very lucky. Rhode Island down 7 with under 10 minutes to go at midfield, and 4th and 2 decides to kick it away, and Georgia State immediately scores a touchdown 4 plays later. Then Georgia State ends up getting the ball back with about 4.5 minutes to go. It appears that they're stopped on a 4th down and 1. The refs did measure it once. They didn't measure it twice. They went to replay. And it still looked like Georgia State was short, but I'm sure Sean Elliott and the Panthers will take it. The defense was not good for Georgia State. In fact, the defense was bad. Rhode Island rolled up 520 total yards against the Panthers defense, 408 of that in the air. I mean, talk about coming down to a couple plays. A pick 6 is the difference in this game. The 4th down, call for a first down is the difference in this game. Not going in on 4th down. That's after Rhode Island went for it, like 4th and 1 on their 34-yard line. So I don't understand that at all. So that'll be interesting. I know everyone says the cliche is the biggest improvement is between week 1 and week 2. Well, it better happen a big way for Georgia State, because it looks like this offense can compete in the Sun Belt. But if they can't stop Rhode Island, how are they going to stop JMU? How are they going to stop App State? How are they going to stop Coastal? And that's just in the East. Again, Darren Grainger was fantastic. They also did a good job on the ground. Eventually had a little difficulty in the first half. Marcus Carroll overall, 23 carries, 184 yards, 3 touchdowns. Grainger on the ground had 12 carries, 51 yards. In the air, Robert Lewis, 7 catches, 97 yards, a long of 39. Talik Williams, 2 catches, 52 yards. He had a touchdown catch of 42 yards. Again, the offense was not the problem for Georgia State. Not in the least, although, a little bit at, I would say not in the least, but for the most part, no, the offense was not the problem. They did have one time when they could have helped out themselves. It was at the end of the half, and Georgia State makes a nice interception, maybe a little fortunate, but a good defensive play in the end. It was tipped up by the Rhode Island receiver, and it ends up in the stomach of the Panthers defender. That's fine, okay? But instead of getting a first down, I think it was like 3 minutes to go. Let me see when they got the ball. They got the ball. No. Hold on here. That's not right. Oh, I'm doing it the wrong way. Okay. They ended up with the ball. They intercepted it with 5:29 to go, and they couldn't get a first down. You get 2 first downs. Forget about scoring. You get 2 first downs and the half is over. Instead, they went 3 and out, although there was a penalty. And then Rhode Island comes right down and scores and makes it a 21-14 ball game. So instead of going into halftime up 21-7 and some momentum, or maybe more, it's a 7-point game. Rhode Island comes right out in the second half and they score a touchdown again. So, in fact, they took a lead. Rhode Island took the lead 28-21. And then Georgia State tied it up. And then they had the pick six. Then they actually, when they punted it away, got a touchdown. They were close to, potentially covering 17.5 points. But then another big pass play, and Rhode Island made it a 7-point game. And that's the way it ended, 42-35. Again, win and move on. Georgia State's going to be happy with that. The offense is looking really good. And if you can put up that kind of points, then you're going to be able to compete in the Sun Belt. But if you can't stop anybody, then you're going to have issues. All right. If you're going to give up 500 yards to Rhode Island, again, what are you going to do against JMU? What's going to happen against App? What's going to happen against Grayson McCall in Coastal Carolina? Who do they play? Remind me who they play in the West. They play Troy. Well, a lot of points will do it if you can score against Troy, and they play the Cajuns. We'll see. You better score a lot of points against the Cajuns because I think the Cajuns are going to put up some points. We'll see if they can stop anybody. I think the Cajuns are going to score some points. So the Panthers do go to 1-0. They will take on UConn. The last I checked, UConn was down 24-14. Again, this is not going to be updated properly. They lost. UConn lost 24-14 to NC State. I will say UConn did cover. Careful for UConn. All right. They were a 14.5-point underdog, and they lost by 10. They only scored 7 points in the second half. They lost by 10 at home to NC State. Careful if you're Georgia State. Jim Mora Jr. has done a relatively good job with the UConn Huskies. All right. So at the very least, Georgia State gets a win. Darren Grainger, you could say, well, he finished, 6 for his last 10 and only, went for 16 for 20 because he started out 10 for 10, scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions. If Georgia State can find a little bit more of a consistent running game, and it's really tough to say that when Carroll rushes for, 180 yards and 8 yards a carry, but they did have difficulty running it in the first half. And so they'll need to work on that. And obviously they may need wholesale changes defensively. They were gashed. They looked lost. These guys were getting wide open. Whether it was a swing pass, that was caught for 3 but went for 10, or throws deep down the field. Georgia State's going to have to improve that defense and pretty quickly. Let's go back to their schedule. It is UConn first, then at Charlotte, and then at Coastal. So that defense is going to get a little bit of test here in September. They played the first game of the season in August, but come 4 weeks later, September 21st, and that's on a short week, nationally televised, that defense better come together against UConn and against Charlotte, and it's in Conway. So they better figure that defense out. I will say, though, win and move on. Georgia State gets a win, and they start the season 1-0. 42-35, your final over Rhode Island. All right, when we come back, we will preview the Sun Belt West. We will do that when we come back. Now it's time to tell you about Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. What are some of the things you'll like about Gametime app experience? Well, they'll have some flash deals and last-minute tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of the seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. Forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country for a reason. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. There we go. All right, let's look at it. Maybe some better matchups in the West, right? We had, although this was a pretty good football game. If you're not a fan of either team, right? Georgia State, you're going nuts. And Rhode Island, you're going nuts. If you wanted an entertaining football game, you certainly got that. All right, so what do we have in the West? All right, it does start off early. Get a nationally televised ball game. Oklahoma, the Sooners, last season in the Big 12, taking on Arkansas State, 35.5-point favorites, taking on the Red Wolves. If you're Arkansas State, can you hang with them? I mean, is this going to be like a 63-10 romp? Is Oklahoma that good? Does the Butch Jones recruiting start to pay off? A little bit soon to do that. You know, we're looking for Butch Jones to compete in the Big 12, asking him to do it against Oklahoma on national TV may be a little bit too much of an ask. I think Oklahoma is going to win and probably cover. It would be nice to see the Red Wolves compete a little bit in this football game against Oklahoma. All right. Then you have, let's see, some other ball games, mostly at 6 o'clock. You do have Army coming down to Monroe. ULM hosting Army. That game is on the NFL Network. More nationally televised ball game. And Monroe, 8.5-point favorites over Army. I don't know how you prepare for Army. We had Terry Bowden on talking about Army's new offense, and who knows what they're going to do. He thinks it's still going to be relatively somewhat close to what they had done before, even if it's out of a slightly different formation. I'm going to take ULM. Let's see if Terry Bowden and the boys up there in Monroe can take down Army on the NFL Network. Jaya Wright getting the start for the Warhawks. All right. Also at 6 o'clock, Texas State and G.J. Kinney, he of not naming a starting quarterback, whether it be T.J. Finley or Malik Hornsby. Texas State, 27.5-point favorites. I'm not sure if Baylor can score that much, because then Texas State can't score at all. Because then you're kind of looking at like a 42-14 ball game, which you could see happening. You know what? Let's go with Texas State. I want to see G.J. Kinney light up the scoreboard. That's what he said he was going to do. Let's go with the Bobcats to cover, not to win. All right. I will also say this. If you are interested, and I got caught up in it, the lines for the games against FCS schools will appear. All right. There was no line for Georgia State and Rhode Island until today. And oops, I took the Panthers. 17.5. I thought I was looking good, not once but twice, and it wasn't meant to be. All right, Southern Miss taking on Alcorn State. Billy Wiles getting the start for Southern Miss and the Fighting Will Halls. Let's see if they can get off to a good start. Troy taking on Stephen F. Austin. Don't overlook Stephen F. Austin. They tend to be in the playoffs a lot in FCS. That's a good out-of-conference matchup for Troy when you're going down a level. We'll see how John Summerall does it as the defending Sun Belt champions. All right. You do have the Cajuns here in Lafayette taking on Northwestern State, game being moved back an hour after, the heat, although it's cooled off a little bit. We'll see what it is on Saturday night at 7:30. Not that much difference. Maybe it has cooled off a little bit as the sun is setting by that time. Ben Woldridge, the starter for the Cajuns, looking to lead his team. And it's really the first time, I believe, that he's been named the starter, either Fresno State or the Cajuns to begin the season. And he is, 9 months into recovery of an ACL. So that's really fast. Happened in November, surgery either in November or December. And that's really, really quick. All right. So the Cajuns looking for a big win to get off to a good start. They get ODU next week. All right. And then the big ball game is South Alabama and Tulane. That's on ESPNU. My guy, Rocky Boyman, should be noted, Locked On Sunbelt subscriber. Thank you, Rocky. He's got the call on that game. This line has changed. It's gone from anywhere from 7.5, maybe even 8. That may be a little high, all the way down to 6. They still have it at 6.5. I think South Alabama is going to win the game. I think they're the better football team. And it's a really good opportunity for Kane Womack and the Jaguars to sort of, again, announce their presence with authority. Although when Luke Nalouche did that, he gave up a home run. So, got to know when to not throw the first pitch fastball. Again, Tulane's got issues on the offensive line. Their running back, actually, they got some experience on the offensive line. Running backs are going to be new. Michael Pratt may have to carry the team a little bit, at least early on. He carried them to victory against USC, so obviously he can do that. Defense should be really good for South Alabama. See if they can get after the quarterback a little bit more. Hearing LaDainian Webb may be banged up. That'll be important. You want him to go. He's your ball carrier. You got McReynolds in the backfield as well, so he can help things out. And Marco Lee on short yardage situation. I want to see a more consistently explosive Carter Bradley. Let's see if they can put up, against. I picked them on a different podcast, 38-31. I'm kind of looking for that kind of points. I'm looking for 38 to 42 points for South Alabama. I think they can do it. All right, that is the West. All right, so who did I pick? Did I pick all the Sun Belt? I got South Alabama. I got Louisiana. I do have Oklahoma covering. I have ULM. I took Texas State covering, Southern Miss, and Troy. Again, when we don't have the lines when we record this for against those FCS schools. They will appear, though, so if you're patient, they will appear. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll tell you about the helmet reveal that South Alabama had the college football world talking about as week 1 gets underway. We will do that right after this. Do want to thank you. We are up to 590 subscribers on YouTube. Still got, a good, by the time you're watching this, anywhere from 24 to 36 hours to get to 600. We had a big 8 subscribers that may have been family and friends. I don't really care. I do appreciate it hopping on the Locked On Sunbelt bandwagon. And so we just need 10 more over the next 2 days. Again, I'm counting 7:30 on Saturday, right before the Cajuns kick off against Northwestern State. Really appreciate it. We had our best month of audio downloads, like 4,600 audio downloads. Had a big day on Thursday to have the best month ever. So it is growing. It is a little bit methodical, but I do appreciate you hanging with us. Locked On Sunbelt. It's getting fun, right? This is the fun part as we are underway on football season. So don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Please tell your friends, have them share it. I will answer every question. People give me feedback stuff. I do not know the quarterback for Ryan Berger was apparently. I got a comment. Ryan Berger was from Conway, South Carolina, recruited by Coastal Carolina. He didn't want to go there. He wanted to go away from home, and he went to App State. So you hear that, and you appreciate it. So I do appreciate the comments. Don't forget to subscribe in either Apple Podcast or Spotify. And if you're doing Apple Podcast, please rate and review. It is a big help. All right. So we are all enjoying so far a pretty good week 1. Again, it wasn't pretty, but it certainly wasn't boring. Georgia State's 42-35 victory over Rhode Island as the Panthers escape with a win. Okay. Let's put a bow on it on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I personally don't care about uniform reveals, helmet reveals. It's just not my thing. I know the players like it. That's who gets psyched up about it. The players really enjoy it. Some of the fans enjoy it. Maybe the students enjoy it. I don't know if it affects anybody else. I could be, get off my lawn guy. I don't know. It's never been my thing. It just hasn't. Yankee cap. I don't need a red Yankee cap with a white NY. Just give me the plain blue one. I like traditional uniforms in that respect. Doesn't mean they're not cool, but I've never thought that they've been that big a deal. All right. Having said that, what South Alabama did, for those who do not know, Mobile, at least Mobile considers Mobile the original home of Mardi Gras. Joe Kane decided to have some parades, although Wikipedia says it was around New Year's. they were having parades in Mobile before they were having parades in New Orleans. That parade stopped around the Civil War or due to the Civil War. And then following the Civil War, Joe Kane was in New Orleans, saw the parades right around Mardi Gras, if not Mardi Gras, and then took that back to Mobile. That's how this whole thing got going. So Mobile thinks it's the home of Mardi Gras, or at least the original home. Obviously, New Orleans has basically perfected Mardi Gras, but it's a bit, Mobile thinks it's a big deal, and New Orleans gets upset when you say so. So what does South Alabama do? They reveal a helmet with one of the decals on the sides with a Mardi Gras emblem kind of logo, mask type of decal. And then on the back, on the bottom of the helmet, it says the home of Mardi Gras. So let's see what that is. Let's see if we can find it quickly. It had, when I talked about it during my show on 103.3 The GOAT, it had about 300,000 views. It's now 352 a few hours later. This thing will easily have 500, maybe even 1 million views by the time the game kicks off. That's very viral for South Alabama. So great job by the Jaguars, video crew. They did a great job. They got one of the voice-ins to get in there and be in the uniform and show the helmet. And it got everybody talking. Jacob Hester's comment, the former LSU Tiger, talk show host. He does, I don't know, only 3 or 4 different shows. He absolutely was loving it. Let's see. I want to get his quote official. I think I missed it because it was great. Oh, man. Now, this is Tom Petty level of pettiness. My God, did I miss college football? Don't ever leave me again, right? So Jacob Hester now lives in Baton Rouge, right? He's actually from Shreveport. He's from northern Louisiana, so I don't know how much Mardi Gras he grew up with. He's involved with it now and being in Baton Rouge and closer to New Orleans, but everybody was loving it. It was fantastic, and a great job by South Alabama to get not only attention to them, but attention to this game, because it is a really big football game, right? South Alabama, Tulane, Tulane will be maybe top 20 if they win. They're already 23 or 24, depending on the poll. South Alabama will be close to the poll. And if South Alabama can start out 3-0, like we've been talking about all offseason, they're going to be top 20. And then all those top 20 teams are going to be playing each other. South Alabama is going to be playing the Sun Belt. So it is a big ball game. South Alabama brought attention to it, and the video did. It's only a 30-second video. It's like 32 seconds. It's not one of those 3-minute, hype videos. It's just 32 seconds. Really well done. And congratulations to the South Alabama video crew for getting that done. It worked to perfection. Okay. We will enjoy the weekend. You enjoy the weekend. We will be at the Cajuns Northwestern State ball game. Of course, we'll recap all of week 1 on Monday, probably kind of recap maybe in 2 parts, depending on what we're doing. We're looking forward to it. Georgia State got things off to at least an exciting start, to say the least, against Rhode Island with a 42-35 victory, a win to move on. Congratulations to Sean Elliott and his Panthers for getting the victory on opening night. Again, everybody, enjoy the weekend. We will talk to you again on Monday. Thanks again. So many people subscribing. Keep it going. We just need 10 more by Saturday kickoff, 7:30 Central Time. So a little bit later on the East Coast. All right. Thanks again for everything. I'm Dave Schultz, and you've been watching and listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day.